Survive might be the word of the morning if you're a Nashville Predators fan, because the Preds did just that in their 4-3 shootout win over Connor Ingram and the Arizona Coyotes. We'll tell you, though, why you should be encouraged with the Preds' performance, our one word to describe the game, and maybe a breakthrough game for a certain player we talk about a lot here on the Locked On Predators podcast. That's coming up today on the Locked On Predators podcast.
Your Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for following the Locked On Predators podcast, and thank you for making us your first listen of the day. I'm Nick Morgan. I'm a writer and editor at ontheforecheck.com, and I have a partner in crime.
You do. I am Ann Kimmel. I'm a writer and editor at InsideThePreds.com.
And together, we are your free Nashville Predators podcast that's available to you daily on all platforms, wherever you get your podcast, and on YouTube. Be sure if you're listening that you subscribe as well. The countdown to Thanksgiving is on. For a lot of you, this is your last day of work for the week. For others, you got one more day before the break. Just like the Nashville Predators have one more day before the break. They got a game coming up. But Ann, it's the game last night that has Nashville Twitter in a absolute whirlwind this morning.
Yeah, a lot happened just off the ice last night in Nashville among Nashville Predators fans. Like, it was a really crazy night. There were just a couple circumstances that set up, not only a wild game, but big feelings in Nashville. So, you got to start out with the obvious one, and that is the return of a fan favorite, beloved son of Nashville, Connor Ingram, for the Arizona Coyotes. He was in net for the Coyotes, and that just brings up that existential question of, do you chant "you suck, it's all your fault" at Connor Ingram?
I mean,
sports, competitive athletics.
I think somebody said it well. First off, there are a couple people, in the Preds, I guess, sphere who were saying, hey, maybe let's not do that this game. Let's just make a collective thing not to tell Connor Ingram you suck. And I don't fault that. I like what somebody said on Twitter last night. It might have actually been you or Sean. I can't remember who, but it was I think that you suck is a show of respect.
Yes.
They're doing it as in he got, apparently a nice ovation before the game when his name was announced and the starting lineup for the Coyotes. The fans like him. I think just the "you suck" is just you know what, you're part of we thank you for your service, but you're part of the other side now.
Yeah, it's like a blessing as you go. But man, that of all and look, I don't like you sucking at Marc-Andre Fleury because he's hilarious to me, and humor goes a long way to forgiving what jersey you're wearing.
Yeah.
But this one, yeah, it was a little bit tough to hear Connor Ingram, "you suck." But I agree. It was a blessing. It was we respect you as an opposing goaltender, but just know we love you.
Yeah, and also he didn't suck.
He sure did not.
He had probably the second best game of his life, other than that the Colorado Avalanche Game 2 game.
Yeah.
And it was good. And it was also frustrating because that was the reason this game was so close. Because really, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more kind of in depth, but the game itself, Nashville dominated. It just didn't come across that way because A, the score was so close, and B, the Predators kind of limped through, the end of the first, kind of towards the end of the second, and then turned on the Jets late. So it didn't come across that way. But, if you're just going by kind of the flow of the game and like looking at all these chances and stuff, it's like Nashville should have won this game like 8-3.
Oh gosh, yeah. They had 45 shots on goal. 45 shots on
46.
goal. 40. Oh, did they have 46?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, a ton of chances.
No,
And
45. I'm sorry.
they were in the mid 40s, folks. That's
Yeah.
just how we talk about shots on goal and age at some point. But they had not only, it wasn't just quantity of chances, but they had a lot of quality chances too, including some on, and we're going to have to talk about the power play because they had many, many, many tries. And there were a couple power plays where you're like, oh, yep, like let loose on the reins. We're trotting now, baby. And then there were other ones where you're like, the horse is dead. It's not going anywhere. So, but really 45 shots on goal. And I thought Connor Ingram really played a great game. Bless you. And why did you have to do it?
Yeah. 42 saves for Connor Ingram, 22 high danger chances for the Nashville Predators last night.
Yeah.
The Coyotes only had 9. So let's talk about the game a little bit and get into our one word. So the Predators went up early in the first period on the power play with a Mikael Granlund finish off of a good bounce from Philip Forsberg. Then they kind of fell asleep in the second period and then got Lawson Krause and Nick Bjugstad to put the Coyotes up 2-1 heading into the break. Roman Josi scored on a power play right in the beginning of the third. Matt Duchene scored pretty much right after that to put the Preds up 3-2. Nick Bjugstad scored late in the third to tie it. And then we get to the shootout that lasted 7 rounds before Cody Glass finally did the little trickle effect move. Thought it was saved, went in, but that was the game-winning goal in the shootout. Preds win 4-3. And your one word to describe last night's game.
So in the spirit of it being Thanksgiving week, I went with kind of a Thanksgiving theme. And my one word is 2 words. And those 2 words are the roasters broke. So we cook our turkey in a roaster, a tabletop roaster. And one year you get up early. We usually eat around like 2-ish because that way I don't have to make dinner. And I can technically say just find a snack for breakfast. But you get everything ready, get the stuffing ready. We stuff our turkey, stuff the turkey, put it in the turkey bag, put it in the roaster, turned it on, and then you get busy doing some other things and you're not really kind of paying attention. And about halfway through the cooking time, we're like, the house still smells like our house and not like turkey. Open the lid and the roaster's broke. And we're still looking at a raw turkey with stuffing inside that sat in a cold roaster for 3 hours. So we had to go out, buy a new turkey. We got to the store right before it closed, found the last turkey breast that they had to make new stuffing, do it all again. And here's what's real. We ended up having Thanksgiving dinner. It just happened so much later than we wanted and so much later than we wish it would have because the roaster broke. And that's very much the Nashville Predators game. Like they had everything ready. They, in the first period, I felt like they came out, they were kind of really cooking there. And then the second period came and it's like they forgot to check the roaster. They forgot to check and see if there was any heat at all. But they regrouped in the third period. They went out and they bought that turkey breast and they stuffed that turkey breast. They popped it in the crock pot because, roaster's broken and cooked it. And in the end, it was a delicious meal. It just happened so much later than you wanted. And that was this Predators game. Like, I really wish the Predators could have won this. And it feels like numbers wise, they should have won it in regulation. But look, it took 7 rounds in a shootout. It's still a turkey dinner. We still got to win.
Why didn't you just put it in the oven?
We had mashed potatoes in the oven, and we had baked corn in the oven, and we had something else in the oven. That's why I dream of a double oven. Just for one day a year, I want a double oven.
The double oven would be clutch.
Oh,
I'm also, impressed at you for actually just going out and redoing the process again and not just being like, guys, this is God's sign to have Chinese food.
No, I was like
Yeah.
that. No, we are doing this. This is like, it's happening. And I really do. I think we ate at like 9 o'clock that night because it was such a fiasco from start to finish.
That's a normal Thanksgiving Day feast for my family. We always no, not the roaster part, but we always eat at like 9 o'clock. Like that's always,
Really?
and that amazes people when I tell them that. Yeah, because we
Yeah.
have like a big breakfast for like
Hmm.
the Thanksgiving Day parade, and then we snack all day. Like we have all these like cheese boards and like
Yeah.
caramel salted popcorn and all this like cool stuff. And then, like we just snack all day, have our naps, watch football, and then at 9 o'clock it's time for turkey and pumpkin pie.
Oh my gosh, that's it. So that's your initial turkey eating happens at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, and it's
Oh, like our
delicious.
fourth turkey eating happens at 9 o'clock at night, but
Well,
I don't know
well,
if
you
I
got to
could
fill
wait
up on
that long.
snacks first.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. See, I don't want to invest that much time in the pre-eat. You get one meal from me on Thanksgiving. You basically get one meal from me this week.
Fair. That is very fair. We talked about that yesterday.
Yeah.
Speaking of food, Anne, my
Hmm.
one word is Sour Patch Kids. Yeah,
Oh, yes.
everybody loves Sour Patch Kids. They're tangy, they're salty, they're sweet, they're sour because they're named Sour Patch Kids. And look, here's the thing. Candy is candy, just like
Hmm.
a win is a win. That's
Preach.
the overall theme here. When you first put this Sour Patch Kid in your mouth, it's very sour. It's very tart, kind of makes you scrunch your face a little bit. Just like when you first kind of break down this win, you kind of scrunch your face a little bit, kind of have that sour taste in your mouth because we were leading and then we blew a lead late. We sleptwalked through the second period. We needed a shootout to beat the lowly Arizona Coyotes. We looked just poor in spots, couldn't finish chances, all that kind of good stereotypical stuff. And that's like, don't feel great about this win. And then the sour part goes away. And then they're sweet. And then
Hmm.
the sour part of we should have beaten the Arizona Coyotes handily goes away. And you kind of start looking at what the Predators did. And yeah, they sleptwalked through some parts, but look at it last night. 22 high danger chances to Arizona's 9. The Corsi was 61.6%, which means
Yeah.
for 61.6% of the game, the Predators really dictated the flow of the game, including pretty much all of overtime. 61.1% expected goals for percentage, which means, yeah, you look at it like the Predators had a 4.6, almost 5 expected goals. Connor Ingram only gave up 3. That's a big thing.
Hmm.
So you look at all these advanced stats, and the Predators put 45 shots on net, a lot on special teams, a lot on overtime, and then you look and it's like, well, the Predators just did kind of exactly what we asked from them, which is go out there
Yeah.
and kind of control the pace of the game. And I think Chris Mason said it best last night during the post game. It's like, look, you're not going to play clean the entire 60 minutes. Like you're going to have some lapses. The other team is going to get you like on your back heel a little bit. And we saw that last night, lasted for a little bit longer than
Yes.
you would like as a Preds fan. But you look at this game and you look at the way the Preds won it and kind of dominated the analytical score sheet. You have to like it. Like it's exactly like how we want to see the Nashville Predators win games, right? Which
Hmm.
is just kind of dominating the flow of game and taking advantage of your chances. You know what? This is a game, everybody was talking about like the Tampa Bay Lightning game on Saturday where everybody's like, oh, well, we did this, but it wasn't good enough. Look at all these advanced stats, but the Preds still had a chance to win. I bet you the Lightning fans were talking about that win the same way we're talking about this Coyotes win, which
Yep.
is oh, we should have beaten the Nashville Predators but couldn't. But then you look at the stats and it's like, wow, we kind of dominated the flow of that game. So for me, I do think you got to take a little bit of solace in the fact for this game that the Predators came out and really dictated the flow of the game. They had more chances. They controlled the puck more. And once the sourness goes away of seeing your team down 2-1 to Arizona at the end of the second, not being able to finish some of these chances and going to a shootout against the lowly Coyotes, once that sourness goes away, you just got some sweet, sweet gummy candy at the end in the form of a good, solid, all-around team win for the Nashville
Yes.
Predators.
Preach. Yep. Agree.
Yeah. So let's talk more about this game in a second, including a player probably played his best game of the year. Who knows what that means for him moving forward, though. We'll do that in a second. But first, want to mention today's show is brought to you by Bet Online. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. You can get the latest odds and trends for every game out there, professional, college, amateur, whatever, from football, basketball, hockey, soccer, golf, esports. We got it all at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts like the one me and Ann are doing right this very second, you can find plenty of those at BetOnline as well. They're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. Bet Online, where the game starts. All right, Ann, what stood out to you in this game last night? What's something we need to highlight this morning?
Well, I'm just going to dive right in. You teed it up just a second ago. So let's just dive right in and talk about what I think is one of the best games that we saw last night, and that was from young Mr. Cody Glass.
Exactly.
I mean, how long have we waited to see this game? And look, Cody Glass, and I will say this unapologetically, I am delighted that he was the shootout hero of this game. Now,
Yeah.
I understand that like it was like, whoa, kind of one of those shootout wins where Connor
It
Ingram
shows
would
up on the
probably.
score sheet, though, baby.
That's right, baby. You don't get style points. You just get it wet and net points. And I think Connor Ingram would like to have just a split second chance to get that one back. But I loved seeing Cody Glass's performance through this whole game and loved that he got to be the conquering hero in the shootout. He had 2 takeaways. He played so well on both sides of the ice. He created some really great chances offensively. He had almost 13 minutes of time on ice, which it's like finally this kid gets chunk of playing time. And part of that could be in the second period the Predators lost Tanner Jeannot and Ryan McDonough for a chunk of the second period. Both of them took a hit to the face. One was a stick, one was a puck. And whoever was stitching in the locker room was sewing like mad, getting those two back out on the ice. But Cody Glass really came out and played one of his best games. And interestingly, he started on a line, and this is something that you had talked about. He started the game with Tanner Jeannot and Zach Sanford. Now, Yakov Trennin's out,
Yeah.
but started with 2 players. And again, props to Nick. You talked about this. 2 players that really can manage a lot of the physicality, a lot of the checking. But Cody Glass was in that mix the whole night. And I have to tell you, it was so delightful to see him perform well and to see him kind of get to ride off in the sunset last night, or skate off, I guess, in the sunset last night.
Yeah. And he looked engaged the whole time, too.
Yes.
Like, he was driving to the net, putting himself in high danger areas. He was setting other players up for big chances in high danger areas. Like, this man was buzzing all
Yes.
night long, and it was noticeable. And you can notice him in the third period, too, when he started getting some good ice time, set the Predators up for a really good power play chance. He got some power play time with Nino Niederreiter on that line, and Juuso Parssinen was on that line with him. Juuso Parssinen and Cody Glass, that is a fun combination that we just got a tease of last night. But this was by far his best game of the year, and the fact that you saw him late in the game in some clutch moments, playing in key situations like the power play, it kind of gives you a thought. It's like, okay, is this it? Like, is this the breakthrough that we were hoping for? Is this what John Hines is going to be able to look at and say, all right, you're going to be out there, same spot again, tomorrow night in Detroit? Like,
Yes.
it's like you hope that's it. You hope that maybe John Hines has kind of found, the right place for him. But we'll have to see, because when it comes to Cody Glass, nothing about how he's been handled this season makes a lot of sense. So
It's a retractable leash.
yeah,
It can get longer or shorter, I think we found out. But
yeah, it's just when John Hines presses that little stop button on the leash handle. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I loved too, there were a couple earlier games with Cody Glass where you could say, okay, gosh, there he sort of had a giveaway that was a little bit yee. But in this game, there just were no yee moments for Cody Glass. He just was out there playing his game. And again, I keep going back to like one, and it didn't result in a goal, but he had like this low cross ice pass to Mikael Granlund, who didn't hit the net, but just set up so many great, really high level opportunities for the Predators. So Cody Glass, way to go. Like, I'm here for this.
Yeah.
So
And
what else?
on the same note, another good night for Juuso Parssinen.
Oh, I could talk about this kid for days, so you might want to go ahead so we don't go
you think
over.
it was, I can't remember if it was the second or third period, but it was a power play chance where he just kind of did this like no-look backhand pass to Mikael Granlund. And I don't think Mikael Granlund was ready for it, because he looked a little surprised when the puck wound up like right in front of his stick. And it wasn't a good chance, but it's like one of those, just again, like a low ice pass, like just kind of right through a bunch of people into a high danger spot. And I'm like, that's a pretty good opportunity for a young kid to do that.
Yeah. And again, I keep coming back to with Parssinen, yes, he has incredible talent. He sees the game so well. He thinks the game at such a high level. And, he can play with a player like Philip Forsberg to be able to come into the league and be able to play the game just on a mental level with people like Philip Forsberg and Mikael Granlund is impressive. But I am also so impressed by the fact that when you see these glimpses of, ooh, that's a rookie thing, he's going to learn not to do that. He comes out the next shift and is just reset on the game. So just a tremendous amount of maturity in his game. But I just also think he's just a very mature 21-year-old who is handling a high pressure situation in just such an unflappable way. Totally here for this.
Yeah. More to talk about this game coming up, including, Anne, I want to get into the Preds defense and how they have been doing. We talked about it a little bit, but that McDonough-Yossi matchup, want to dive into that a little bit more last night, because there was a moment in which you kind of really saw how well that line was working together.
Yeah, love talking about these two together. And we're going to do that, like Nick said, in just a second. But first, want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by our great friends at Simply Safe. Did you know that over the holidays, property crimes like burglaries and package thefts spike nationally? We have all seen Home Alone. We know that this is true. So that's why our friends at Simply Safe Home Security are offering 50% off their award-winning security system so that more families can feel safe and secure this holiday season. You can order your Simply Safe system for half off today and enjoy advanced security and greater peace of mind this holiday season. Simply Safe was named the best home security system of 2022 by US News and World Report. And that, my friends, was their third year in a row. In an emergency, they have 24/7 professional monitoring agents who used Fast Protect technology exclusively from Simply Safe to capture critical evidence and verify that a threat is real so that you get priority police response. Simply Safe is whole home security with advanced sensors for every room, every window, every door of your house. They have HD security cameras for inside and out. They have smarter ways to detect motion that alert you only when a threat is real. And they even have hazard sensors that detect things like fire or floods, any other threat to your home. Their 24/7 professional monitoring service costs less than $1 a day, which is less than half the price of ADT's traditional professionally installed system. With their top rated Simply Safe app, you get to stay in complete control of your system anytime from anywhere, whether you're traveling for the holidays or you're home. You can arm or disarm, you can unlock the door for a guest, you can access your cameras, you can adjust your security settings from your app. So don't miss your chance to save big on the only home security system that Locked On recommends. You can get 50% off any new Simply Safe system at simplysafe.com/lockedonnhl. This is their biggest discount of the year, so you don't want to wait. Go to simplysafe.com/lockedonnhl. There is no safe like Simply Safe.
All right, and we talked a little bit yesterday during our plus minus about that Roman Josi Ryan McDonough pairing and how well that's been working so far this year since they've come in together. 1 second.
Bless you.
Thank you. And again, it worked really well last night, and maybe no example of how well it had been working is when Ryan McDonough left for the majority of the second period after getting a puck to the face.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's not exactly how you want to experiment with that, but this line is cooking in, and that was something that we had talked about for a while. Is after Ryan Ellis got traded, Roman Josi hasn't had just like that solid defensive partner that he just is going to be with for all time. Last year, sometimes it was Alex Carrier, sometimes it was Dante Fabro. They switched that around a lot. It was Jeremy Lauzon for a few games. Here, this year, kind of the same thing so far, but finally, it looks like him moving to the right side and Ryan McDonough stepping in to that top line and kind of being the anchor of that line. It seems like it has benefited both of them thus far.
Yes. Yes, I would agree. And I can't remember which 80s hair band it is that sings "Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone," but that is 100% what happened in the second period when Ryan McDonough left and Roman Josi didn't have him. In the last 3 or 4 games, we've seen these two together. And it's so interesting to me because, earlier in the season, Matthias Ekholm, and even in the preseason, was working on kind of playing his naturally opposite side, the side that he's used to playing for the Predators. But Roman Josi really is hockey ambidextrous. Like, he doesn't have a side; he has a half of the ice. And so this has just been such a seamless transition. And I agree with you. You're seeing such great play from Roman Josi. You're seeing a lot of freedom for him because McDonough tends to kind of hang back. But you are also seeing McDonough being able to make some really great defensive plays as well. And I think it just maybe is a more natural fit for both of them. Roman Josi last night, with McDonough off the ice, Josi had over 30 minutes of ice time. I was exhausted for him. Had so many long shifts. Oh my goodness, the poor man was probably completely gassed, but looked great. And I agree with you. When McDonough and Josi are together, I think that's the combination that John Hines has been hoping that they would find when they got to bring McDonough on, and they just hadn't been able to settle into it. But I think the magic is right there for both of these players.
Yeah, you can't say Roman Josi didn't earn his keep
Oh
last
gosh.
night for sure.
Yeah.
And can we pour one out? Let's just pour one out real quick for Cole Smith in fights. I love Cole Smith. He's got a lot of heart. He plays with a lot of heart. The man should not be fighting. Because I think this is his second fight of the year and the second time that he has just been absolutely dropped, like me in a French class when I'm signing up for classes at midterms at Western Kentucky University. I mean, the man has just not does not have the fight gene in him. I compared him last night to Sean Astin's portrayal of Rudy Rudiger Where it's
Yeah.
like the scenes at Notre Dame where he's like lining up every play and he's just getting like thrown around by like just these massive like 6'6" offensive linemen. He's just getting his butt kicked while like
Yes.
Notre Dame's victory march is playing in the background. That's Cole Smith. Like, credit to him for stepping up. Credit for him to taking hits.
Yes.
Love the guy. Plays with a lot of heart. Should not be fighting.
Well, and here's what I want to say about this. It's so hard for me to watch hockey fights because having done, boxing and MMA and that kind of thing, like I'm like, oh, there's good technique and there's bad technique. And you add in the fact that everything that involves good technique is almost eliminated by being on ice. So fighting is just a complicated thing anyway on ice and in hockey games. But I agree with you. I'm like, way to have the heart for it. But Michael McCarron's on the bench going, dude, just let me do it next time.
Yeah. I'm just like, please.
just like I love it. And again, love the heart. Like I love the energy. It is very Rudy Rudiger. But maybe just be like, hey, McCarron, did you see that? Did you see that? And let Michael have a chance.
Well, Colton or Tanner Jeannot's sitting on the bench right there.
Yeah,
Dude,
like just
I think I've seen him maybe lose like one fight in his entire career. Yeah. Like that's the guy that you're like, it's like, the little brother going to big brother and saying, I have a bully, take care of him. And then Jeannot, Mr. CrossFit MMA training comes out here and just like Conor McGregor's somebody. I feel like
one thing I do want to talk with you about, I want to get your take on this, and this is a hot topic when it comes to shootouts in Nashville. But let's just talk about it. Let's just have an honest conversation about the Slo Mo Ry Jo.
I love it.
Do you really?
Yeah. What do they call it? The Slo Jo?
The Slo Mo, the Slo Jo. The Slo Mo Ry Jo. Yes, the Slo Mo.
It's what? The second time I can remember seeing it in the game. Mm-hmm. It's probably happened more than that, but it's happened before. It's worked both times, and that's the crazy thing. It's like it feels like if you've seen it once, if you've seen it like on that guy's highlight reel, like you should know. It's almost like Pavel Datsyuk from back in the day, where he had like the same 3 moves every shootout goaltender knew it was coming, but they still couldn't stop it. And then he just started putting like variations on the same moves. I mean, I like it. Like it's something different. I think that's like the big thing. And I wonder if the Preds' familiarity with Connor Ingram came into play on some of these shots because, on a shootout, you just kind of carry it in kind of like consistent pace. Maybe he doesn't like that change of pace. Maybe that sets him off his rhythm a little bit. I am a big fan of any off the wall shootout attempt.
Well, like, and if there's going to be off the wall, it's going to come at the hands of somebody like Ryan Johansen. I will tell you this. I saw him come onto the ice and I looked at my husband and said, I'm going to go get a snack. He will not have shot by the time I get back. Like, I feel like you miss windows of life waiting for Ryan Johansen on that. And it bothers some people and some people love it. It makes for a great highlight clip. It's definitely been circulating on Twitter with different places because it's just a very unique, like Ryan Johansen himself, take on a shootout.
Yeah. I mean, I like, again, I'm a big fan of any wild shootout attempts, like the Merrick Malik between the legs.
Yeah.
Like flip is still like my favorite clip. I love the Pavel Datsyuk, like slow motion shot over Antti Niemi, who was like done with his entire progression by the time the shot like even got to his blocker. I love clips like that. Why not? Look, in a game like this, like why not? Just go for it. You've already got a point. Like just try it. Just try something different.
Well, that's what we have Ryan Johansen for. So there it was. Yeah. It's a move, friend. It's a move.
So we will see what the Predators can do with this momentum. Buried in the lead is that they now have points in 5 straight games. They have won 4 out of those 5 outright. They have the Detroit Red Wings tomorrow night. That is always an interesting matchup. The Red Wings have historically had the Preds number over the past several years, but the Predators have kind of turned the tide on that a little bit with a handful of consecutive wins. So we will need to see what happens. And it's also our Thanksgiving show tomorrow.
Come on.
We think we put together a good Thanksgiving segment for you. You're going to have to be the judge to see if it lived up to the hype. That is tomorrow's Locked On Predators episode. And where can the people find your work?
You can find my work at InsideThePreds.com, and you can find me on Twitter at ANK_Mama on Ice.
I'm Nick Morgan. You can find me at ontheforecheck.com, wingingandmotown.com, or follow me on Twitter _NSMorgan. Be sure to follow the podcast on Twitter as well, LO_Predators. Come chat with us during games. Wherever you're listening to this episode, whether it's Amazon Music, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, any of the big ones, we're on there. So hit that subscribe button and drop us a rating. That really helps us out. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to hit the bell notification so you'll always be the first to know when we have fresh content out for you. That's going to do it for us on today's Locked On Predators podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day. We'll be back tomorrow with a Red Wings preview and our Thanksgiving episode. We'll see you then.